Hi, my name's Elliott Greenblott. I'm also called Mr. Scammer. For the past 3 years, I've served as AARP Vermont's Fraud Watch Coordinator. We're going to take a look at the scam, the art of the scam, because in 2017, about $25 billion in the United States was stolen by con artists. Now, that meant about 20 million victims. So this is not just a once-in-a-while crime. It's something that's happening constantly. And one of the things we need to know is how con artists operate. So we need to know about our opponent. And I guess that's the way we need to put it. This is sometimes going to look like a sporting contest, two teams. And you are on one team, the con artist is on the other. And obviously, the more you know about your opponent, the better you are in terms of protecting yourself or winning the game. So let's take a look at three of the professionals, three of the con artists who have made a living taking your money. The first one's name is Rocky Smith. Rocky, we can generally refer to as a consultant. Rocky made his money by working as a trainer for other con artists. And in the 5 years of his career, he worked over 40 different boiler rooms, training individuals how to use the phones and how to work a professional con. Jeremy Shipman. Jeremy was a very adept and capable impersonator. He always used a personality of an individual who had some authority in their background or credibility. So Jeremy would impersonate FBI agents, might be a bank president, might be an official from a lottery. Jeremy's success was so good that even while he was waiting time in prison, he used his telephone privilege time to try to scam money from individuals, and he acknowledges that in one case he was able to steal about $10,000 from an unwitting individual and have the money sent to one of his colleagues. So Jeremy was very capable and very young. He was only in his 20s when he was committing his frauds. The third individual's name is Stephen Michaels. Stephen was the king of the gold coin scam. What Stephen did was try to get individuals to buy gold coins from him. He would fake the value of the coin, saying that it was worth thousands of dollars, and then sell it to an individual and actually deliver the coin, which cost him probably $200 to $300. How did he accomplish this? It wasn't that hard. He would spend a lot of time visiting coin swaps or coin collector meetings. He would determine who at that meeting was an amateur, copy down their name, their phone number, and then contact them after the meeting. It might be a couple days after, it might even be the same day, and offer them a great deal on a coin. He was also smart enough not to contact people who were professional coin dealers because they would have recognized the scam right away. So there are three of our individuals. There is a fourth one that I want to introduce you to. We have a little video clip of this gentleman. His name is Jimmy Edwards. And Jimmy is kind of a rock star to the scam world. When he was active, and this was in the early 1990s to early 2000s, he created 30 different boiler rooms, telephone operating scams, and to what we understand at this point, in about 8 years of his criminal activity, was able to successfully steal over $60 million.
These are dangerous people you are on the phone with. Okay? Make no bones about it. I am a dangerous person on the telephone. If I choose to be fraudulent in my practices, there is nothing that's going to stop me from taking lots of money from people, period, the end. And there are many other people just as dangerous as me.
Jimmy has a favorite term that he uses, and we found that this is true in the case of most con artists. The term they use is the ether. The goal is get the victim, get the person that you want to con under the ether or a heightened state of emotion. Now, that heightened state could be fear, it could be a feeling of relief, it could be anything that raises an individual's emotional state. The hope here is that by being emotionally charged, you will end up losing touch with reality. Your sense of reason will go away. You might become very excited at the opportunity to make a lot of money. You might become very fearful at the prospect of some damage being done to your home or injury to your family. And con artists prey on this type of behavior. Let's take another look at Jim and see what he has to say about the con.
The crush or the kill is emotionally driven. It's not logic. If you apply logic to this concept, it's no. I'm not going to send you my hard-earned money. I don't even know who you are. I know you from Adam. When I wrap that in tons of emotion, that blurs. The logic goes out the window, the emotion kicks in. Now I've endeared you to me. Now I'm no longer the predator on the phone. I'm Jim from New York.
So what are the tactics? What are the approaches that a skillful con artist will use in order to weave their web? Well, there are some 6 major approaches that are used. The first one is something called phantom riches. And the objective here is to dangle some money or a great prize in front of you and convince you that you're either a winner or are likely to be a winner, and as a result, you want to provide some information to the con artist. Often it's also some money. For instance, you may have won a prize, a lottery, and the con artist's approach is to say, in order for you to get that money, you need to pay a finder's fee. You may have to upfront pay taxes. So dangling the money or the prize in front of you is one of the major approaches that con artists will use. A second approach is something called profiling. The con artist will attempt to get information from you by asking you a series of questions. Usually they appear to be very friendly questions. There'll be questions about your health, your home, about members of your family, travel that you do, and this information is then recorded and will be used at a later point in trying to weave a scam. The goal of the con artist in the profiling effort is to get you to believe that they are a friend. And the more the information that you give them, the more they can use to prove to you that they are actually a friend of yours and they want to do something nice for you. So by letting them know that you may have been ill, the next time the con artist will reach out to you, they'll say something to the effect that, oh, how's your back doing? Or do you still have that cold? And that way, you feel that the con artist actually has some interest in your well-being. It's a good technique, and if that doesn't work, another one that con artists will often attempt is something to convince you that an offer is a scarce offer. In the case of Steve Michaels and selling gold coins, Steve used to use an approach which would try to convince the intended victim to believe that the coins were very valuable and very rare. And as a result, if you don't act immediately, scarcity will kick in and you will miss an opportunity. And that again becomes a very frequent approach. A fourth attempt is to try and demonstrate source credibility. The more believable the con artist is, the better the chances that the con artist can actually take money from you. So if you believe you're talking to an official individual, somebody in the government, somebody who's an officer of a bank, credit card company, the likelihood of you believing them goes up tremendously over it just being a call from any individual. So source credibility. A fifth approach is something called social validation. In that case, the con artist will attempt to try to get you to believe that everybody is participating in this particular activity. It might be something involving purchase of an item, it might be a service that they're selling, but if they can convince you that there are a lot of people seeking this particular service or product, the likelihood of your being woven into their scheme goes very high. So those are all positive approaches. You know, using the phantom riches approach, profiling you, scarcity, source credibility, social validation, and they're not used in isolation, they're tied together. The difficult part of this becomes that all of these techniques are also the lead techniques that most legitimate sales techniques use. So for instance, if you want to buy a car, the car dealer is going to attempt to convince you that if you don't purchase the car today, you may lose out on a special bargain, a special deal, or a discount. You might find that the car that you're looking for is not readily available or may only have limited availability. So this happens in the real world in terms of legitimate businesses. The techniques are just marketing techniques. Con artists have learned to use these. The one big difference is the con artist also has a sixth approach, and that sixth approach goes in the opposite direction. If the individual can create fear, can intimidate you, you may end up becoming a victim. So if all the good side, the positive strokes don't work, then turning negative becomes one option that a con artist has. And there are a lot of opportunities that they have to use that technique simply because the con artist is able to latch on to some of the same information that you can use just by approaching the internet. For example, if an individual decides that they want to threaten you with burning down your home, it's very easy to go online to a product such as Google Earth, find an individual's home, and then be able to describe it over the telephone as you threaten them. So those are the techniques that con artists use. It is a psychological issue, and sometimes con artists are very adept at pushing these items so that you as a consumer become the victim. There are some very clear prevention strategies or strategies to help you fight off these particular attempts. The first one that we always recommend is not to make decisions in a heightened emotional state. It's a difficult thing because we do get excited, we want to take advantage of an opportunity, but if we can back away and create some kind of, a refusal script would be the term, then we might be able to take some time to think about the offer and then come back to it. But making a decision in an emotional state means that quite often logic is lacking. The next thing that we find is that most people do not ask enough questions. We also find that the con artists are very good at asking questions. So by diverting your attention, by asking you a lot of questions that may be irrelevant to what they're attempting to do, you end up becoming distracted, and when you're distracted, you become a victim. So it's important that you ask questions when somebody makes an offer to you. Third thing that's important is to read about whatever the product or service is before you buy it. For example, if somebody offers an opportunity to win a lottery, check into whether the lottery is actually legal before you take on that offer. In order to get you to act immediately, again, the con artist will use that scarcity technique or the need to, for you on your part, do something right away. Resist that, step back, take a breath, and think about the offer and research it before you go any further. There are some other prevention tactics that you can use. One of them is if you do a lot of work online or you go to websites that require PINs or passwords, it's important to protect them. One way to protect them is this way. I keep all my PINs and passwords in this little notebook. It seems to be old technology, but if I keep it in a safe place, it's a good resource, and also it's something where if I forget, I can use that particular password or the PIN that's necessary. Another thing you can do is get a credit freeze or contact credit bureaus. There are 4 of them: Equifax, Experian, Innovis, and TransUnion. Another approach is to be very protective of your information online. Don't volunteer a lot of information, particularly in social media. Another approach that can be taken is to protect your mail. Most people don't realize, but there is a way to stop receiving junk mail. And the way you can do that is through two operations. One is called optoutscreen.com, and there's a phone number, 888-5-OPT-OUT. Another source is dmachoice.org. Both of these organizations provide you with the ability to block unwanted mail. Now, there are some catches to this. One of the catches is that if the mail is coming to you from a political organization or from a charity, it can't be blocked. That's part of the law. But it will block mail from legitimate businesses. For example, if about 3 or 4 years ago you bought a Toyota and Toyota continues to send you emails and you don't even own the car anymore, or you don't want those messages, not just emails, but it would also be the postcards and other mailings that they send, you can go to these websites and you can request that they no longer send them. And it's a violation of federal law if they continue to do that. There is one other group that is not blocked by these actions, and those are the con artists. So when you receive something in the mail, if you've chosen to be listed by DMA Choice or opt-out, and you still receive things, then odds are those are con scams. Some other prevention strategies. It's really important that you protect your Social Security number. Social Security numbers are keys to everything in your possession, including your home, bank accounts, credit cards. So protecting that number and other personal information is important. If you are a senior citizen and currently collecting Medicare or disabled and on Medicaid, you need to protect the numbers on those cards as well and not offer them to people over the phone or through the internet. There will be a change in Medicare numbers coming this year. Some people may have already received their new Medicare numbers. It's important with Medicare numbers that you, again, not divulge that to anybody other than medical providers who require it. Monitor your bills and financial accounts. Be certain that the items that are showing up are things that you originated. If there's an item on a credit card statement and you know you didn't purchase it, you need to challenge it and contact that credit card company. If there's some action or activity in a bank account and you didn't initiate it, you need to contact the bank. You need to do your homework if you're an investor. And most of us are, whether we realize it or not. It may be through a retirement account, it may be through a pension program, but be sure to check out the companies that you're doing business with, as well as the brokers you're doing business with. And watch over your credit reports. Request them. There is a free service called annualcreditreport.com, and it provides copies of your credit reports. Another approach is to go to the Do Not Call registry, which has actually gotten some bad press at times, but it's still really a good resource. You go to donotcall.gov, or you call Do Not Call, which is 888-382-1222, and the Do Not Call registry will stop junk phone calls from coming to you. Again, as with the Do Not Mail options, the calls are not going to be blocked from charities or political organizations, but they will be blocked from legitimate businesses that you do not have any connection to. Double check references. Whenever you're looking for somebody to do work for you, it's important to get references, not just from the person who is talking to you, but also from other organizations like the Better Business Bureau to see if they're registered. Check with the state Department of Financial Regulation and find out if there are any actions against that individual or company. And when you are donating money, be certain that the money that you're donating is going to a worthy cause. You can check that out by visiting the website CharityWatch.org or the website CharityNavigator.org or Give.org. All three of those rate charities will give you information about whether or not that charity actually spends the money on what it says it spends it on, tells you whether or not you can look at the books of the charity. So there's some strategies and some approaches that you can take when combating criminals and fighting fraud. It's important, as I said, to know your opponent. And it's also important to know what steps you can take in order to be better protected in the marketplace. Veterans. We all appreciate veterans, or at least most of us do. They sacrificed for us and for our safety and our protection. But there's a small number of people in this country who do not have that appreciation, and they tend to be the con artists. Con artists are targeting veterans at an alarming rate, and they're actually being very successful at it.
Colonel Jones, this is the Department of Veterans Affairs calling to update your Social Security number.
Mrs. Sanchez, hello. I'm calling about offering cash payments for your VA
Veterans
benefits.
like you are now eligible for some amazing real estate opportunities.
I'm a financial advisor and would like to take a moment to review your
I work for a
portfolio.
military charity, and we are seeking donations from veterans just like
VA
you.
calling. We'd like to verify your information on file.
The veteran scams have increased over the past couple years, and some of those scams are very successful to the point that they exceed the level of success that con artists have with other groups in the population. For example, the percentage of veterans who are successfully scammed is about double the number of general population senior citizens who are scammed. So let's take a look at some of the specifics that we're finding out about scams targeting veterans. Now, veterans have some benefits that are provided as a result of their service. Veterans also have an affinity for each other, kind of a brotherhood of those who have given service to our country. These are things that con artists are targeting. Benefits. Many veterans around the country are being offered the opportunity to get money now for benefits that they will be receiving later. And it could be, for example, disability benefits. It could be pension payments. What happens in this case is the veteran is offered an amount of money that is certainly less than what the total benefit would be, but they're offered the money today, and in exchange, they sign off the benefits that they are entitled to. A second scam that we're seeing, and in this case we're seeing in Vermont in particular, is a scam where the con artist creates a fake charity. The fake charity is to benefit veterans and provide them with services or provide them with products that they can't obtain through the Veterans Administration or other means. So it may be, for instance, a higher degree of care in terms of medical care. It may be particular items related to, let's say, their ability to get a mortgage or education under the VA plan. Con artists create a charity and try to convince veterans to donate to that charity, which is completely fake. A third area that we see fraud taking place that's pointed at veterans is in fraudulent records offers. The scam turns out to offer veterans the opportunity to get records that the government is holding for them, and all the veteran needs to do is pay a small fee in order to get those records. The reality is that the Department of Veterans Affairs provides all of this information free to the veteran. But sometimes the way the scam is phrased, it looks like something else is being provided. So veterans end up taking on the opportunity, but not realizing that they are actually the target of a scam. Another scam that we see happening is a phishing expedition. In other words, the attempt to gain personally identifiable information from veterans. This happens online. The scam usually displays things like the American flag, talks about veterans, and talks about opportunities that veterans can have, and asks veterans to submit certain information, which may include service numbers, may include social security numbers, and other personally identifiable information. That information is then used to create identity theft. A fifth area that we see happening a great deal is bogus employment scams. A number of younger veterans end up receiving opportunities that are phrased online as a great opportunity for veterans, and there is no opportunity. But what happens is the veteran ends up either paying a fee for a job that doesn't exist or providing personal information in the form of a biography or job application for something that they won't get. That information is then either used or sold for identity theft. So there are 5 scams that are being specific to targeting our veterans today. If you are a veteran and you feel that you've been either a victim or approached, we ask you to contact the Veterans Affairs Administration offices. They will know what to do with this particular problem. They will be able to help you out if you've been scammed, and they'll be able to pass the word to other veterans on what to be on guard for.